Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Daines, for bringing this bill forward. I just want to express my appreciation for the outcome of this bill as a lead in the Commerce Division. I certainly was very vocal about some changes I wanted to see in the bill, including one that was adopted, which was the elimination of the extension of reinsurance. And I know that the reinsurance has been a successful program to some and mostly to deal with the individual market after federal healthcare reform, and we certainly have had to deal with that, and I believe that it's done its duty, and I would have had to be convinced that we would need to renew it. So given the recent administration's job in passing the American Rescue Plan, there is a new way of dealing with those insurance premiums and potential destabilization of the insurance marketplace, and now members, all of our constituents can apply for these additional federal tax credits that are available as of April 1st. So just want to make sure that we do that public announcement that we are indeed tackling the issue of increased premiums in the individual market. A lot of us got those emails years ago when we first were enrolling into the federal healthcare reform, also known as Obamacare. And now we are not extending this program of reinsurance. It will end as of December 31st. And I think that is a good way to move forward, not including a significant amount of state dollars that would have had gone to this program when it was technically unnecessary and potentially double dipping if we're already having some federal assistance from the federal government, like I mentioned. So from now on, the new rule at the federal level is that no one will pay more than 8.5% of their household income towards the premium cost on one of the benchmark plans. It's a little bit more complicated, I'll leave it at that, but basically the intent is people should not be paying more than 8.5% of their household income to the benchmark plan. So if you can pick other plans, but essentially the notion is that you should be able to afford your health care in the individual marketplace. So I just wanted to mention that, members, and thank the committee members of the conference committee to eliminate that portion. The other piece I also wanted to mention that I'm actually very excited to have passed, and I was actually the chief author a couple of years ago, was the Student Loan Borrowers Bill of Rights. And this is a very important bill for our students, for people who are still paying for their higher education. I still am. I'm still paying my law degree and my master's degree. So I feel the pain of the next generation, which is has saddled with debt, and we're doing less and less to support them. So this is a good bill that is Student Loan Borrowers Bill of Rights, and this will allow people to have basically someone watching to make sure that students don't get overburdened with debt. It requires loan servicers to obtain a Minnesota license and enacts certain requirements, and I'm going to mention some of them because they weren't discussed earlier in the Senate. This would require timely responses to borrowers' written communication, requires servicers to apply overpayments as instructed by the borrower. It requires servicers to apply partial payments in a way that minimizes late fees and negative impacts on the borrower's credit history. It requires servicers to evaluate borrowers for income-driven repayment programs eligibility before placing them in forbearance or default. It prohibits servicers from engaging in unfair or deceptive practices and from attempting to mislead a borrower, from not knowingly misapplying payments, from providing inaccurate information to a consumer reporting agency, and finally, allowing the Commerce Commissioner to examine student loan servicers as necessary and take action against a licensee, including barring a person from service loans. So members, I think that's a very important portion of this bill that I want to make sure you highlight, and you can tell your constituents that we are doing more than just a higher education bill. We're doing more to help our students across our state to have their back, to help them with this crisis of debt. And I want to thank members who worked on that provision in particular. Thank you, and I will be a green vote on this bill.